Hey everybody, Fred Sumner here. Today we're going to do part 3 of brain tan, a deer skin, started into buckskins. Today is a scraping. We're going to take the hair off, the membrane off, and scrape it down and put it into an acid or into a rinse step process, okay? And what that rinsing does is it gets rid of, well, let me back up. What the scraping does, one, it dehairs the hide. Two, it gets rid of the epidermis layer that the hair is connected to, that connects to the hide. This all has to take place to get a good brain tan solution emulsification. That way your penetration, I should say, penetration. That way your brain tan solution will penetrate the hide completely. It'll give a nice deep penetration, whereas if you don't take that membrane layer off, it won't get the penetration, it won't have a good, and down the road it won't soften the way you want it to turn into a nice set of buckskins. So what we're going to do today is scrape that layer off, scrape the hair off, and go from there. Now this is a bit of a messy and it's a nasty looking situation right at the moment because it's been soaking for 3 days in a lye solution, which is covered in my second video. I can put the link down below if need be. And also, today's in the mid 40s, somewhere around there, so it's a little chilly, so I got a flannel shirt on. But anyway, we'll go ahead and dig out the hide. Now, you don't want to just initially go ahead and rub the hide, even though the hair will come off with your hand, which is a good sign that your soaking has taken effect. It has done what it's supposed to do. It has loosened the hair member, the follicle, so it'll come loose. But you want to try to keep that on there as much as you can to kind of act as a guide as to the areas that you worked. And you only want to work a little section at a time. Work this section, get rid of the membrane, move the hide. Work this section, move. Work this section, move. You don't want to try to do big splotches on the hide because then you're going to miss big pieces of membrane. And then when it comes time to soak or to smoke, you're going to see these by white patches in your hide, and it's not going to look good. And you won't get total penetration of the brains. So this step is probably one of the most important steps, if not number one, in this whole process. Because the next step of braining, after the next couple steps, after the rinsing, the acidifying, then the ringing, and then in the braining, you want the membrane gone so the brains will penetrate. So let me go ahead and dig this hide out and we'll get started and I'll show you. Your hide will come out looking kind of tannish, but that's from the lye, making it turn colors, and it's going to be swollen, okay? There. Yeah, see? And it's got this distinctive smell to it. Like I said, you're almost putrefying it, but it is what it is. Now see, the hair just coming right off in my hands. See how it's doing that? Normally I wouldn't do that, but I'm showing you. I want you to see. And I lack a better way of explaining this. When you start pulling off the membrane, the epidermis layer, okay, it kind of looks like mucus. I don't know if I'll bring that down in close. You can see how thin and clear it is there on my fingers. That's the layer that you're trying to get rid of. It'll scrape off. You've just got to work at it. Like I said, and it's a little hard to handle this hide because it is slippery. So, and until you get a good scrape on it, it's going to stay slippery. Now this is where a good apron comes into effect. So push the hair and start working. Yes, you're going to push the hair out But like I said, until you get a section worked where it becomes sticky, the hides are just going to slip on you, and it's going to be a giant pain in the butt. See what I mean? So here we go. And right now, yes, I'm pulling all the hair off because I'm going to take this thing, give it a couple dips in water. I'm going to fill my bucket up here with water and rinse it a couple times to help get some of this slipperiness out. But first, I'm working this little section because I wanted to give you guys an idea of what you're looking at when you scrape the hide and what you want to be looking for. Okay, let's get you in here and see if we can get a good clear view. As you can see, there's a ridge right here, and this is almost transparent, and this is real dark and thick. You want to get the whole hide to look just like this section right here. So you've got to scrape all of that epidermis layer off. So let me go ahead and get the hair off this. The only reason why I'm doing it with the hair off and rinsing it is because I know what I'm looking for. Try to do it with the hair on the first time you do it. So I'm going to go ahead and dump this, or rinse it real good, get the hair off, rinse it, and then come back and show you some more scraping. Okay, now I've done over half of this hide now. You can see the membrane. I'm doing this for a specific reason to show you. You can see the membrane that I've scraped off this hide. Okay, and as you look at this hide, it's almost transparent, it's clear. Whereas the parts that haven't been scraped yet are still that real hard gray or tannish color. And even here on some of the thinner edges, you can see the white is what your hide will end up being when it's dried and stretched. See how that's turning white there? I don't know if this screen is picking it up, but as compared to this tan has been scraped. This whole section's been scraped. But that just shows you that this is a very thin edge. So this is going to dry real fast. You can see the difference there. So this has already started to almost dry out, as it were. Your end result, your whole hide will look this color, all of this, when this starts to dry and wring it. But that's what you want. That's what you need to get. Now I'll bring it down closer. You can see the difference to the areas that were scraped and the areas that haven't been scraped yet. There's still a lot of scraping to be done on this hide, but this must have been a young deer because it's coming off real easy. And that's another way that you can tell. An old buck, 4 or 5 year old buck, this is going to take a lot of work. A big old doe, a lot of work. A year, maybe 2 year old deer, you know, it's going to come off fairly quick and fairly easy. Yeah, see, it's just rolling right off. And I'm just using that edge as a sharp point and just getting it down there. Both sides. Just giving it what for. You can get hard on this part. You almost, in some aspects, you have to. You see the pieces that are coming off? That's what you want. And don't go working a new section until you're sure that you've got everything off this section. Don't go jumping to another part, because that's how you miss. And you just keep scraping. Now mine's getting way too down there. I'm almost bent over. So, pull the hide back to you. And now it's starting to get sticky because you're getting all that extra water, all the mucus, all of that slipperiness off of it. So it's getting sticky. That will help keep it in place while you're scraping. Now, if you run into a hard section, like right here, do little jerky chops like that. If the long single stroke won't do it, take it in little jerky chops, and that'll scrape it right off. But this, like I said, this is an important stage. For a good looking hide at the end, you've got to do this. And the hide will tell you which way it wants to go to release that membrane. If you try to cut across it, it won't come off. Rotate it a little bit and try to go with it. Maybe that'll peel it. You know, you got to work the hide in this section. You've got to work with the hide, because if you fight the hide will win. And you're going to tire out, and you're going to be like me. Who's fat, out of weight, out of shape, I mean, and breathing like a friggin' freight train trying to go up a hill. Because I've been fighting the hide instead of working it. Plus, this is very labor intensive part of brain tan. I actually had a guy a month earlier, or late last month in October. Yeah, it's now like the 7th or 8th of November. But about the mid to late October, messaged me on Facebook because he found out that I tan deer hides. Anyway, he tanned me and said that he's got 6 raw hides right off the deer in his freezer. They're frozen, which is perfectly fine. That is a good way to store your deer hides if you don't have time to work them when you harvest your animal. I do it with all my hides. Take them. You don't even have to flesh them. You get them off the animal, you fold them flesh to flesh side to flesh side. You roll it up nice and tight, put it in a garbage bag. Roll that garbage bag up nice, tight, and neat. Put a couple of straps of duct tape around them. Throw them in your freezer, and they'll keep indefinitely. At least until you get time to get out and start to work them. Then you take them out the day before. You let them thaw naturally. Let them take their time and thaw. Keep them out of the direct sun, and let them thaw on their own. Then they're ready to work. If you try to heat them, like microwave them or put them near a fire to thaw them out or something, you're going to ruin them. Because heat is the enemy when it comes to these, when it comes to this, at the stage they're in right now. Even when they're cured, they're tanned, I mean, and put up, you know, and you're wearing them as clothes, don't dry them out near the damn fire. Let them dry on their own. Now, but this gentleman said that he had 6 raw hides that he'd be willing to pay me to tan. He said that they were big deer. I said, okay. He says, I'll pay you $35 a piece to tan these hides for me. Now this brings up a point. You drop your hide, don't freak. Don't get worried because it's got dirt on it and shit. So what? That don't matter. Now you can tell this up here, this is up near the neck because it's really thick. But yeah, he wanted to pay me 35 bucks a hide. To brain tan hides for him. Well, 35 bucks a hide. You're smoking crack there, buddy. To find a non-commercial, somebody like me that does it at home because they like to, for less than 100 bucks, you've got a score. Just the time amount, it takes approximately 5 days to do one brain tanned hide. And that's from taking it off the animal to the final smoke. Yeah. Now, not all of that is heavy labor intensive, but the parts that are labor excuse me, the parts that are labor intensive, which I'm doing now, one of, there's a lot of work here. Now, this isn't like some big commercial tannery where I just throw it in a big machine with some chemicals and let it do its job. It doesn't work like that. So, I'll get back to you when I get more of the hide skinned or scraped. So, hang tight.